There we go.
Hi, I'm Larry Howe, and I started up in this business. My dad got me a job as a carpenter, journeyman carpenter, actually an apprentice carpenter, and started off as a carpenter, working for CT DeSensis in Anaheim. My dad was a superintendent. He said, "Larry, get your work clothes on." I was 17 years old. This was 1969. And I said, "What?" He goes, "Get your work clothes on." Okay, so I got my work clothes on. I helped him work a lot, building garages and so forth. And so I didn't even know how to spell carpenter. I really didn't. And the next day I was one. And got me a job as an apprentice carpenter. And I did that for summers for several years. And I worked my way through junior college, and I became a journeyman. And I decided not to go on to college, the university, get the 4-year degree, because I was already a journeyman, and I was making good pay. And why go to school at night and work too when you already got a profession? And then I was really interested in diving. I started scuba diving when I was, 17. Snorkeling when I was a lot younger than that. I always loved the sea, and my dad got me started in the union, and I read in the Carpenters magazine how the pile drivers were training divers. So I was an outstanding apprentice, and I had good grades in the apprenticeship program. They accepted me into the program, and they paid for me to go through the Commercial Diving Center, which later on became the College of Oceaneering, and that equates to a associate degree in ocean science, commercial diving, breathing compressed air, and also mixed gas. The difference between mixed gas and helium is you can breathe helium below 100 feet and you don't get knocked out. One of the fun things about being a commercial diver was I wrote about this in this page here about Jim Dunn. I know Jim Dunn from the California Wreck Divers. He was one of the officers, and I was a member of the club. And getting back to breathing compressed air, in scuba diving and in commercial diving, we have this rule. It's called Martini's Rule, Martini's Law, and wherein every 50 feet you go down, you are basically getting us drunk from the nitrous oxide. Well, under pressure, oxygen and nitrogen mix and they make nitrous oxide. So every 50 feet that you go down, you are like pounding down a martini, which is a shot of vermouth, which is what, 17% alcohol, and then a martini, which is like 40% alcohol. That's like drinking 2 beers. So every 50 feet you go down, it's like drinking a martini. So at 100 feet, you essentially drink 4 beers from just breathing the air. And a lot of times we did that up to like 180 feet. So you can imagine how crocked you were. You had to learn how to work under that condition and function. With the Yokohama air hat on, you don't have all that gear that you do on scuba diving, and so you can really feel the effects, and you can feel, because you don't have a mask, and you don't have a thing in your mouth. You have an open helmet, you have a telephone inside where you can hear and talk, and you really notice the effects of the nitrogen narcosis in a hard hat gear, whereas in scuba diving, you're kind of you have so much gear on your face, at least for me, you wouldn't realize that you're knocked out, or that drunk, as it were. And that's one of the very interesting things about the trade, is you would have to learn how to work under those conditions. And I also did a certain amount of hyperbaric medicine. I did so well in the diving air mixed gas class that they sent me to USC Medical Center, and I learned from some of the foremost experts on hyperbaric medicine. USC, in conjunction with the CDC, which later became the College of Oceaneering, which is now defunct. But anyway, it was some of the best education I ever had. And during the Cold War, I was I was a medic on board ship, and I was a non-combatant, of course, because I was medical personnel. I was kind of like doctor, pharmacist, nurse, and you'd also have to work on top of that. And you wouldn't usually do medical stuff because that was only if you were way out at sea and you were so far away from civilization that they couldn't get an aircraft to you or a helicopter. You would have to get a doctor on the telephone, the radio telephone, and sometimes they wouldn't work very well, and sometimes the doctor wouldn't speak English very well. And one of the interesting things about being a medic on board a ship is that I don't know if you ever saw that movie Officer and a Gentleman. Anyway, when you're the medical officer on board ship, if you get hurt, you got to treat yourself. So there's always a very sobering thought in the back of your mind that you got to be really careful that you're not going to get hurt because nobody can really take care of you. But I loved every minute of it. It was some of the best education I had, and some of the best experiences, and you get dispatched to all sorts of different projects. And I think I've rambled enough here, but that's just some of the stuff that I learned and share with you, and I hope it brought a little light on a long forgotten way of living that I really enjoy doing.